Hi, hello, my name is Gomer Joseph. I hope you've all been having a great day so far. Welcome back to another True Crime Tuesdays video. If you are new, I welcome you. Today, I will be discussing a requested case of the unsolved disappearance of Terrence Woods Jr. Researching this case was very tricky and extremely confusing. It felt like my head was literally running in circles. So I'm going to make sure that you all aren't confused because this is a very confusing case. When the person is missing and the story is confusing, then it is extremely concerning. Now I encourage y'all to do your own research and not just look at my video for all of the information. Here we go. Terrence Woods Jr. was born on October 24th in 1991 to Terrence Sr. and Valerie. Terrence was described as someone who was happy-go-lucky. He was caring, nice, calm, gentle. He was pretty silly. And he was a hard worker. He loved traveling and enjoyed spending time with his family. While in college, he studied journalism, but after graduating college, he would join the production team of several TV shows like The Voice in the UK and Gold Rush, which is on Discovery Channel. On October of 2018, Terrence Jr. is 26 at this point, and he is about to go to Idaho. But he tells his father and his brother that something feels pretty off about this trip. But he still decided to go because he was loyal to the production company. After traveling to Idaho, Terrence Jr. would call his father Terrence Sr. And according to Terrence Sr., he states that his son sounded normal on the phone. Later on, he gets a text from Terrence Jr.'s phone. Now, once again, Terrence, he has this experience with working in TV production, and that does require lots of traveling, which he didn't mind because, again, he did love traveling. He was always traveling as a TV producer. But, while he was supposed to be doing work in Idaho, the text from his phone to his father stated that Terrence Jr. would be coming back sooner than expected. The family was pretty okay with that, but they did think that it was pretty weird because, Terrence was never one to cut his trips short. On October 5th of 2018, there was this picture that was posted on Terrence Jr.'s Instagram page with this landscape area captioned Idaho. While doing his production work, a production worker named Simon G stated that Terrence suddenly dropped his radio, and after dropping his radio, it is said that Terrence ran down this steep cliff leading into a forest. Simon stated that he and others attempted to go after Terrence Jr., but Simon stated that the land was just so rough and he was just unable to find Terrence. And after they were said to have gone looking for Terrence, they came back with clothes all bloody, basically stating that Simon disappeared into the forest. Since Terrence is nowhere to be found, they do eventually report him missing. After reporting Terrence Jr. missing, his family is informed and they are just frantic to hear that that Terrence Jr. was suddenly, missing. And of course they fly to Idaho and try to help with the search. But the family pretty much explains that not long after they landed in Idaho, the production team was pretty much nowhere to be found. Like, I do understand that the production team does have a life of their own, but you were filming there and, one of your own is missing. Because according to the text that Terrence Sr. read, y'all were leaving sooner than expected anyway, so it's weird that you're just not gonna stick around to help the family search. As for the police department, they did form this huge search team, but since they were having such a hard time trying to find Terrence, they just up and thought, you know what, I just don't got time for this. We've been looking for this kid for like 6 days. There is no trace. So let's call it a day, which I found to be very, very odd. And I was very, very confused because you are a search team for the police department. Like, you try searching for someone less than a whole week, but since you can't find him, you just decide to give it up. Like, I mean, please, like, make it make sense, because the goal of, trying to find a missing person is to keep searching for the missing person so that they're not, missing again. Because what even confuses me more is that though they stopped searching, from what I've gathered, though they stopped searching, the police department still hasn't closed the case. Again, if you are confused, I really try to make sure that you all were not confused, but if you are confused, then I truly cannot blame you. Eventually, the production team does get in contact with Terrence's family. According to the production team, they were stating that Terrence seemed like a nervous wreck, and explains the whole vanishing into the forest story. Now, his family is pretty much thrown aback by this because, Terrence never really had a history of, having mental illness or really having anxiety like that. But not only that, Simon G would also tell the family that Terrence ran faster than anyone he's ever seen after he pretty much landed on the bottom of that cliff. Again, the family is pretty confused by this story. They feel like something is just off with this story about Terrence running down a cliff into the forest, because they never knew Terrence to be athletic, and he wasn't even someone who would even climb a tree or a ladder. So his family just couldn't understand how he had the boldness to run down a cliff. Brace yourselves, because I just don't know where this was coming from in Simon's head, why this made sense to him. But Simon G also stated how he was disappointed in the work that Terrence did. Why you tell a worried family about Simon's supposed faults while he's nowhere to be found is something that I just can't wrap my head around. Because Simon was going on and on about how he asked Terrence to get him some fruit, but he was offended when Terrence asked him what sort of fruit he wanted. Or that Terrence didn't know the camera lens that Simon was asking for. Not only is the family confused about these non-essential things, but the family states that Terrence never had any complaints while he was doing work as a TV producer. And of course, they would think that it's odd that Terrence would now have complaints against him right around the time that he went missing. Despite all of the confusion of this case, there is something that is extremely chilling to me. The family gets a hold of Terrence Jr.'s belongings, but they notice that none of the clothes that he brought on the trip with him were even worn. Like, opening the suitcase, they noticed how nicely folded it was and everything. Like, Terrence had been on, at least he was supposed to have been on this trip to Idaho for at least 4 days so far. So he has supposedly been in Idaho for 4 days, yet there was no bag of worn clothes placed inside of this suitcase. Terrence's family definitely does not know him to be someone who has bad hygiene. Overall, the whole situation is extremely sketchy to the family. So since they're not really appreciative of the work that the police were doing, they had a private investigator do their own investigating. With the information that the family was able to gather, Terrence Jr.'s family does not believe that he even made it to Idaho, because he was supposed to, the way that the trip was working out, he traveled to Montana first, and once he landed to Montana, he had to go to Idaho. So they believe that he was most likely last seen in Montana. Here's what freaks me out even more. So when they got the text before his disappearance stating that he was supposedly leaving Idaho early, his family is really unsure whether it was actually him texting them. Because if it wasn't Terrence texting them, that means that Terrence most likely wasn't even posting that picture of quote-unquote Idaho on Instagram. Sadly, Terrence remains missing to this day. If you have any information at all, please be a snitch. Call 911 or call the Idaho Sheriff's County Office, which is 209-983-1100. It has been almost 5 full years since Terrence Jr. has gone missing. His family is definitely not giving up on trying to locate him, but I know that these past few years have been so long and extremely agonizing for them. My prayers do go out to Terrence Jr.'s family, and I am praying that God will provide them with the answers that they are desperately searching for. The God that I serve, the God of the Bible, is an all-seeing God. He knows exactly where Terrence is, and he knows exactly what happened to him that day. I thank you all for taking the time in your day to watch this video. If you did like this video, please feel free to hit the like button. If you have any thoughts on this case at all, please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. If you'd like to see more videos from me, please feel free to subscribe and click the bell to be notified about the next video. If there is a certain true crime case that you'd like me to cover, go ahead and let me know. I will see y'all for next True Crime Tuesdays, and I will talk to y'all later.